In the far future of an alternate world, Nicholette Gold, also known as Nikki, was born from humans who settled on the planet of Mercury. With an extremely hostile environment around them, the Mercurians developed enhanced eyesight in bright conditions, heavy-duty heat and radiation resistance, as well as having fiery hair that Nikki could even project out from her body. She first encountered the Guardians of the Galaxy relatively early in their adventures, not long after the defeat of the team's original enemy called the Badoon. This race had laid devastating waste to various planets in the galaxy, including those of the solar system and many of the human-settled worlds surrounding it. It was under this troublesome climate that humanity was struggling to recover from that Nikki first met the Guardians of the Galaxy, boarding their vessel, the starship Captain America, named after an old superhero on Earth. She did so using what had once been commonly used as a small luxury craft prior to the Badoon invasion, leading to the team of superheroes easily detecting her intrusion. When the Guardians came to investigate, they recognized Nikki as a Mecurian, while she accosted the team's leader, Major Vance Astro, with a pistol. The young woman was badly traumatized thanks to the Badoon, who wiped out the Mecurians to the point Astro and the others thought they were completely extinct. Nikki was only 11 when this happened, and she has since been surviving on her own. With Earth having been conquered, and lacking any sense of direction, the Mecurian began scavenging, exploring, and educating herself using her ship's computers. Nikki was quickly calmed down, as the Guardians explained they too were each members of their own race and the last of their respective peoples. They welcomed her aboard, inviting the woman onto their team, and though she found the room temperature of the starship Captain America to be a bit cold for her liking, she was pleased to be given new clothing and hot food. The Guardians at this time were on a journey to the center of the galaxy, so Nikki shared with the team all she had seen in her travels, including a number of worlds she had encountered that appeared suitable for life but were completely dead and uninhabited. Two of the Guardians, Yondu and Starhawk, recognized this to be the work of a monster rumored to feed on worlds with a vampiric thirst called Karanda. They happened to come across this being in space not long after. This mysterious entity nearly wiped out the entire team then and there, appearing to devour Starhawk and disabling the Guardian's ship. With the vessel's life support systems now failing as a result, the Guardian of the Galaxy known as Martinex transported the rest of the team off the Captain America onto a nearby planet. Martinex, an augmented human like Nikki but from Pluto instead of Mercury, possessed a crystalline body, which allowed him to survive on the ship even without life support, and was able to facilitate repairs, while the others would have to wait and survive on the mysterious planet below. They were sent to the largest city they could detect with their scanners, and the Guardians soon found themselves in the middle of a large rooftop garden. Nikki and the others were quickly accosted by one of the planet's natives, who held them up at gunpoint and considered the Guardians of the Galaxy to be trespassers here to murder the gunman's employer. The stranger took them to this boss, a local gang leader, who threatened to keep Nikki as a plaything. This enraged the Guardian Charlie 27, disgusted the alien would violate Nikki's consent, leading to a quick fight. Nikki observed, sardonically bemused at all of this, as the Guardians pummeled this gang and the four forced their way out onto the city streets. Both Nikki and Vance Astro, the latter being from an ancient part of Earth's history, recognized the city as resembling New York City on Earth, or at least what it looked like back in the 1980s. Yet instead of humans, the world was populated with a wide variety of aliens. Martinex then contacted the team and requested they find a transistor to repair the ship. Yondu and Major went to get one, while Charlie and Nikki were told to wait and stick around here so they could quickly regroup after the task was done. While the Jovian and Mecurian waited, they were menaced by a mugger, and once again Charlie 27 stepped in to protect Nikki and lay the attacker to the ground. This led to a large brawl between Charlie and an entire gang that eventually caused Charlie to be arrested. Nikki, having taught herself the history of Earth during her many years living alone, slipped away, knowing he would be taken to jail. Not long after this, she was convinced by a group of worshippers to meet their god, a strange alien calling himself Big Bud and claiming to be master of this world. Nikki refused to kneel down before this being, insulting him in the process and outraging the gathered alien believers. Using remarkable acrobatics, she deftly avoided the aliens, thinking to herself she shouldn't have joined up with the Guardians if this was the sort of treatment she could expect going forward. She fled the now angry mob of aliens, running into Charlie 27, who escaped prison and practically caused a riot of his own. As they ran from the now two gathered angry mobs of aliens, they bumped into Yondu, who fired a single arrow, using his ability to control it with whistling, knocking the pursuers to their feet. Major Vance then spotted the group and dispatched the rest of the crowd with a blast of psychic energy. Suddenly, the four were then picked up by a space shuttle used for interplanetary transport. The pilot explained that the Guardians accidentally breached an asylum world, an entire planet being used as a sort of mental institution by a society spanning this sector of the galaxy. The patients are allowed to live relatively free and had built a city resembling New York on their own. The pilot's people detected the Guardians' arrival and had already helped Martinex repair the Captain America before picking up the rest of the team. They returned the Guardians to their starship and wished them well in the journey going forward. The Guardians then caught up with Karanda once more, watching in horror as it devoured all life on yet another world. Before he was consumed by this entity, Starhawk left the team instructions to continue on their journey to the center of the galaxy, ignoring Karanda and any other possible distractions. But Nikki could not bear the thought of letting countless worlds be devoured while they did nothing. She seized control of the vessel, using her agility to maneuver it straight at Karanda. This proved a dangerous move, as the ship was unable to damage the powerful being, and on entering its energy fields, the team's sense of vision was badly impaired with the exception of Martinex. Karanda ultimately swallowed the ship whole, and they landed on a strange surface. This infuriated Major Vance, but Nikki was unwilling to risk letting more people die. Having still been traumatized from being alone for so long, she spent many years thinking all life in the galaxy had been wiped out by the Badoon, and was afraid that was becoming a reality at the hands of this creature. They realized Starhawk might have suffered a similar fate, but Major, still angry, simply stormed off. Nikki went after him to apologize, though was nearly assaulted by the superhero as he began to grow increasingly unstable, laughing at their predicament and only letting her go when Charlie 27 came to the young woman's defense. Her and the other Guardians, except for Vance, went outside to go look for Starhawk and gave their companion some space. They came across some nomadic aliens who attacked on sight, mistaking the Guardians for demons of some variety. Nikki proved easily able to avoid their attacks, and the Guardians proved to be the superior combatants by a wide margin. The aliens surrendered and offered all they had, taking them to see who had turned out to be Starhawk, who had been living among them after being swallowed by Karanda earlier. They were then struck by a severe earthquake, and Major Vance Astro contacted them, revealing he had been afflicted by a small mote of Karanda itself, which caused his erratic behavior earlier. Starhawk instructed Vance to launch their ship, leading Astro to discover they had all somehow become trapped in a giant human-shaped being, because this comic book series is really weird. Starhawk explained that everyone on this strange land was brought here after Karanda devoured their world. He took the rest of their team to a cave, where he brought them to an underground cathedral called the Covent of Living Fire, which Nikki, as a Mecurian, found particularly beautiful. The occupants of this place seem to have adopted a fatalist philosophy, aware that their world would soon be destroyed, them along with it. Starhawk was familiar with these people, having been living here for some time. The Guardians found his behavior strange, but did not sense any hostility in him or their host, and they were peacefully shown around the Covent. During this tour, Nikki was horrified to discover a burning woman kept in a chamber combust into ash right before her eyes. Starhawk then calmly and eerily stated Nikki would need to enter a similar state in order to save the galaxy, provoking an angry response. The aliens explained that Nikki would need to spiritually join with the planetoid being they were all living on through a psychic experience. Though the young woman was extremely reluctant to participate, for understandable reasons, she was ultimately pressured to do so after even Yondu sensed this was somehow the right thing to do. The process activated, engulfing Nikki's body in flame while her spirit left her body. Now a gigantic psychic entity, she joined with the giant man-shaped world, at the time possessed by Vance Astro from his position in space. This union provoked the destruction of this strange being, along with Karanda, who was connected with it on some metaphysical level. Thus, Nikki and Vance managed to save all life in the galaxy. Yondu grabbed Nikki's body, badly burning himself in the process, and the team barely eked out an escape as the rest of the strange being, and everyone living within, died around them. Nikki and Vance ultimately recovered from this experience, and while Nikki quite enjoyed herself and felt comfortable about it, Vance did not feel the same way and quickly distanced himself from the young woman. So that's it for the story of Nikki, one of the stranger origin stories I think we've covered so far on Comic Island, but she was a pretty fun character. I don't know how many of these Guardians of the Galaxy origin stories I'm going to do. I have one more planned, and we'll kind of see what audience reception is from there, but it has been interesting exploring some of the ones that haven't really been covered by the movies yet and what they're all about, because I really didn't know much about like Nikki or Charlie 27. These stories, though they are strange, were fun to cover just because they're so different and a little bit of a unique chapter in Marvel history. So that's about it for now. Thanks for watching, everybody, and we'll see you next time on Comic Island.